government, it's negotiating, right? You're negotiating for your life, you're negotiating terms, you're negotiating a whole bunch of stuff. Did you try or could you negotiate? You're like, listen, you know what? I'm going to give you A, B, and C, right? But I'm giving up $20 million. Could you ask them for at least some of it, or can you negotiate the financial portion, or does Johnny Law come and say, the fucking money's gone, brother? You're lucky if you're keeping your life. How does that negotiation go in terms of the financial when cooperating?
Well, just look at Joe Messino. He forfeited $8 million and got to keep $14 million in real estate. I mean,
right.
I was told
Bernie Madoff would have got to keep $2 or $3 million.
Yeah. I mean, it's all different depending on what district you're out of. The district I was from was they didn't once you made a deal with the government, they didn't come after you as far as monetarily speaking. They didn't come at. Now if there was forfeitures involved in the case and things like that, that's different. They could get waived. They could implement them, but they could, just say, okay, you got such and such a time, and then it goes away. So anything, but it all depends on the district. And yeah.
Well, you had a sizable forfeiture. You had a 7-figure forfeiture, correct?
Yeah, $2 million forfeiture. There was all kinds of, they went up to 10 million when they added up all the rackets.
Damn.
Yearly. They said it was a $10 million a year enterprise.
And you're like, wait a second, who's robbing from me?
who's robbing the public now? Right?
No, because I think they shortchanged us. I mean, it was like, I think it was more than that, to be honest.
You're like, 10 million, thank you. All right, so he's got a few more questions.
We'll wrap this up. A very simple question here, because we'll probably do another interview, and I had fun on this one here. What was your favorite thing about being a made guy? The one thing that you could sit back and say, you know what, that was fun. When I got my button, that was a good time. I was happy with this scenario or this part of your life. What was the one thing that you would say was your favorite thing about being a made guy?
The best thing for me is, and somebody asked me this question on the other interview I did, was in my area, we were trying to keep it hush, quiet that I got made. Felix Tranghese knew, and I know he let it loose to Emilio Fusco. Had strong beliefs that I was made. I never admitted it to him. You get formally introduced to each other, and I never got formally introduced to Emilio. What I found out since I came home was, I always said Bruno didn't know. And Tom, I told you this before, and you can't believe it, Bruno. But I found out this from a friend of mine here, and I said, Bruno, did he ever? We started talking, and he said, no, Bruno definitely found out. Like when I said we never told Bruno, but Bruno, and I could tell you stories of how he found out through bosses in New Jersey, the way they told him to treat me. They told him, listen, when you see that kid, you treat him like you would treat me. Now imagine a boss telling Bruno a message. So he just figured it out. But Bruno kind of knew. But the best thing for me, I would say, is outside my area, I got introduced to the bosses in Providence, Louis, Carmen from Boston, and all the captains, captains in the area, captains in Providence. And so when I was introduced, that was probably the best thing about being made, is that, you didn't have to go there and be like, yeah, I'm Anthony or whatever. It's like, I'm officially introduced as, and I'm the guy in the area. I'm being introduced as, the captain of our area, which is boss. So, I sat down with Louis. I sat down with bosses, Providence, Boston, and I've been in meetings in New York where they brought me around with bosses. So that was like the nicest thing. In the end of the day, did it mean anything? Yeah, it did, because when you get treated like that, when you go to Boston, when you go to Providence, there's opportunities, and now they know, they bring you the opportunities, whether it's legitimate business, whether it's anything. So it opens up the doors when it comes to that. So that was good.
That's cool.
So one thing I wanted to ask you that again, I don't think I asked you, but we kind of touched on it before. Like, what was your biggest regret in retrospect, even including the informing? Like, maybe cut a better deal, maybe not cut a deal. I do talk to some informants that are looking back and they're like, shit, maybe I wouldn't have blew trial. You know, like, there's like, what's your biggest regret to date, all in to today? You know, what's your biggest regret, Anthony?
Just that I ended up, joining. Like Jason said earlier, he said you had money, and you had a crew of guys, and why did you join? So that's a great question, and I think it's a great question, and if I could go back, I would have not joined.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have joined, period. But
correct.
Because you can't say you're going to join and you're not going to be violent. It's just impossible to predict that. You don't know. And so by not joining and not committing the violence, because you didn't have to commit violence, what are you going to do? Just kill everybody that disrespects you? You'll kill 100 people. I mean, it never ends. So it's like, that's the biggest. Anything else in my life, I have no regrets. I don't regret anything in my life. Right now, the decision to cooperate, the decision to, like I said, I gave my guys in my area a decision to be out here with me. That's up to them if they wanted to make that decision. They chose not to, so they're not out here with me. So that's on them. But so I have no, when you're going through it, yes, when you're going through getting indicted and you're in the courtroom and the judge says, what does he face for his maximum prison, sentence, and the prosecutor says death by lethal injection, and you got your family in the courtroom that hears that, and I got little kids, it's a sobering effect that it's like, wow, these people really want to put me to sleep, So, I mean, it's like, is it hard to go through and process everything like I went through back in 2010? Yeah, I mean, it was difficult decisions to make. Thank God I made them. Thank God. You think first of all, do you think the mob is the same as it was, let's just say in the 80s?
Yeah.
Then let's go to the 90s. Let's even go 2000s, right? Do you think the mob and the mafia is the same right now as it is then?
Yeah.
If they even exist? I mean, yes, it exists. We know it exists, but the top guys ain't doing nothing no more. They got their millions. They're not gonna break an egg. They're not going near anybody. Okay. And then you got the lower guys that are, struggling to get by, and it's not even